This is Tried and True, the DC United Postgame podcast presented by Heineken. And oh man, is it cool to see some smiling faces after a game. Woo! We're live here in the Heineken MVP Club at Audi Field, where DC United have just taken down expansion team Inter Miami Club de Football on 2 second-half goals for the black and red. And my name is John Lee. I'm joined this week by Joshua Morgan and Michael Black, and we're going to break down the whole game for you. My friends, boy, it's cool to get 3 points, yeah?
That's all I'm focused on right now. We got 3 points. It might have not been the prettiest. It might have not been the cleanest match ever, but we got 3 points, and it's the first of the season. Let's go.
I think we're all still trying to figure out just what the hell happened there. That was quite the game, especially in that second half there.
Yeah, so it was, like I said, it wasn't the cleanest game. It wasn't the most polished game. But DC United come away with 3 points, so we can't be mad at a 2-1 win, right?
Well, yeah, and I mean, it couldn't have started off much worse. A goal in the second minute for Pizarro for Inter Miami, and the thoughts of last week's late collapse came back real quick. It was a physical first half, but we got through it.
Right, so I looking ahead to this match, after watching Miami go toe-to-toe with LAFC, I was a little bit worried. Inter Miami looked like they were a legit team. They were ready to go. And, I didn't think DC United would be able to compete with that kind of energy. But, a signing like Pizarro is going to get on the score sheet eventually. And unfortunately, that happened in the second minute. It seemed like that changed the form of the match. But luckily, DC United's men were able to pull through and get the result.
Yeah, full credit to Inter Miami. That's their first goal in the history of the club, and that's a huge moment for them. But honestly, those first 5 minutes make you think back to DC United of old, giving up quick goals, coming out not ready. But fortunately, they were able to turn it around, especially in that second half. That first 15 minutes of the second half really changed the tone of the game and got us the result.
Yeah, and coming out after the first half, there was a point in this game where Miami went up 2-0. And it came back on VAR, and thank God it did. And it wasn't long after that, Yamil Assad drills a penalty home in the 59th minute to level the score for the black and red, and Frederic Briant with the game winner in the 61st minute. Yeah,
absolutely. Amazing execution on set pieces there. 2 set pieces from Gressel setting up the PK, and then the rebound by Frederic Briant. That's quite incredible.
Yeah, it's a great way to get a first win of the season, and we've got a huge crowd here in the Heineken MVP Club, and we're super excited. We're going to throw it to break early tonight, but right after break, we've got a special guest tonight, one of my favorite players in the league. It's Paul Arriola, and he's coming up right after the break. Stay with us here on Tried and True, the DC United Postgame Podcast presented by Heineken. Tried and True, the DC United Postgame Podcast presented by Heineken. We'll be back in less than 2 minutes.
Can't listen to us live on YouTube? Find Tried and True, the DC United Postgame Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, YouTube, or Pocket Casts the morning after the match.
Tried and True, the DC United Postgame Podcast presented by Heineken. We'll be back in less than 90 seconds.
Hey, thanks for listening live. If you want to join the conversation, let us know what you think in real time using the chat on YouTube Live, on Twitter using the hashtag TriedAndTrueDCU, or text us at 202-892-6328.
Tried and True, the DC United Postgame Podcast presented by Heineken. We'll be back in less than 60 seconds.
Let us know what you think between games on Twitter at hashtag TriedAndTrueDCU, or email us at triedandtruedcu@gmail.com.
Tried and True, the DC United Postgame Podcast presented by Heineken. We'll be back in less than 30 seconds.
Hey, thanks for listening. If you like what you hear, go ahead and give us a follow on social media. You can find us on Instagram or Twitter at TriedAndTrueDCU. Again, that's Instagram or Twitter at TriedAndTrueDCU.
We're back here on Tried and True, the DC United postgame podcast presented by Heineken, and we've got a very special guest tonight. He's one of my favorite players for the Black and Red and for the Stars and Stripes. It's Paul Arriola. Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
Super excited to have you here, and so is the crowd. And Paul, we've got to start out with the question that's on everyone's mind. How are the Pugs doing?
The Pugs are good. The Pugs are good. They've, they're just doing the pug life and hanging out. My girlfriend has had to do it by herself the past couple of weeks. So, the question should be for her, not for me. But I'll answer for her. Yeah, they're great.
Well, that's good to hear. And Paul, obviously it's been a tough couple of weeks for you, and we're all devastated with what's been going on. But how is recovery going? You seem to be in good spirits.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. Obviously, today is day 12 since the surgery. I can't lie. It's been hard. There hasn't been a time that I thought that this is easy. But each day, getting better and finding the little things that matter and the little wins that you get. Whether it's your quad being able to strengthen, whether it's you being able to walk up some stairs.
So I've listened to players like Benny Fellhopper and Sal Zizzo and Ike Parra talk about a serious injury like this, and as a soccer player, this is your livelihood. How does it feel coming back with the full support of the crowd, with the front office? How does that feel coming back from an injury like this?
It's great. They obviously motivate me. As much as they can, and the self-motivation and the determination that I have to be the best and to come out of this stronger. Like you said, it's a horrible injury. It's a long recovery, whether that's 6, 7, 8, 9 months, even more for some players. To have everyone from the owner, Jason, all the way down, to anyone within the club. Everyone has been so supportive. The fans have been amazing. This is the reason why I'm here. This is why the reason I was here last week, sitting in the cold, supporting the team and cheering the team on with you guys. This is my club. This is what I love to do, and anyone that knows me knows that, whether it's on the field or off the field, whatever, whoever I play for, whatever emblem I have, I give it my all. So still trying to do that, obviously, off the field. It'll be a different role, but looking forward to it.
Yeah. Speaking of playing for the emblem, when you're not wearing the black and red, you're wearing the Stars and Stripes. Greg Barhalter seems to absolutely love you. He's called you up almost every single time because you are that hardworking player, that guy that can create opportunities because he just works hard. And obviously, there's a setback, but we're missing out on you in those Olympic qualifiers. How soon do you think you'll be back in that U.S. men's national team picture?
Yeah, I think obviously as soon as I can. It's obviously not going to be something that I get healthy and all of a sudden I'm back with the national team. It's something that you have to work on first with your club, and the mentality is obviously to get me back to that level. To help the team, especially during World Cup qualifiers, whether it's this year, whether it's next year. Those things are obviously goals that I have. Like I said, it's just one day at a time, and that's still a long way from now. But I'm definitely looking forward to it. They've also been great, everyone from the national team and the brotherhood that we have, the culture, the coaching staff, the president, everyone has really stuck by me and done a great job.
Well, and it's super exciting to hear that, Paul, and we know you've always been a big fan of the Black and Red ever since you joined us. And for the listeners here in the Heineken Club, or if you're listening to us live on YouTube Live, if you've got questions for Paul, go ahead and send those in using the hashtag TriedandTrueDCU. We've certainly got a number of things we can talk to Paul about, but we want you to be part of the show, so that's the hashtag TriedandTrueDCU.
Yeah, and Paul, it's great to see you out here and supporting the team, and just want to see your thoughts on what was really an exciting game, especially that second half there.
Yeah, it was obviously a tough game, and speaking on the team's behalf, I think we put ourselves in trouble early on in the game, and I think for a lot of us, the honest truth is we want to be amazing at home like we were when we first got to Audi Field. And I think every time that the team steps on the field, we have the opportunity to do that, to start a streak, to get on a hot streak at home, because obviously you have to win your home games in this league, and people know that based on the successful teams and the success story. So I thought it was a difficult start. Honestly, I thought Miami came out obviously after that and controlled the game for a lot of it, and for us it was nice to be able to get the call and obviously the penalty kick right afterward, and then look, we won the game in 10 minutes.
Right, exactly.
And sometimes that's all you need to win a game. Sometimes you need the cards to fall your way, and it was nice to see that, especially at home. For a team that we obviously needed a win after last week's play. So for us, it was important. Not necessarily how we played, but just the fact that we were able to win. Is all that really matters to us, and we'll see that at the end of the season.
Sure. You saw a lot of grit out of the team out there too. Having to make 2 subs in that first half there. I'm sure as a player you've got to be sitting there feeling for your guys out there and really trying to grit it out.
Yeah, especially right now when I'm fresh out of a surgery. I'm watching guys fall, and it's making me cringe. And I'm telling everyone, man, this is scary. This is not good. And obviously the 2 subs, it's tough for us. But I thought the guys that stepped in, they did a great job. I thought Eric Sorga did an amazing job working hard, and obviously he has a couple chances in the end to finish off the game. He doesn't, but nonetheless we still get a win, and hard work goes a long way. So I thought he did a great job.
Does Eric refer to himself as the Estonian Messi, or is that just like a fan thing around him?
No, it's just a fan thing. This guy, he is so quiet, let me tell you. He is probably the quietest guy in the locker room.
That's funny. So Paul, you've been around the team for a while. Who's one of your favorite players to hang out with off the pitch?
Is it still Russell Canals?
Yeah, I mean, if you've ever hung out with Russell, that's that's my guy. That's one of my best friends. He's great. He's amazing. He's definitely my number one.
Yeah, and so we've seen not a little bit of a partnership, but a connection between the new signing Julian Gressel and Russell Canals. How do you combat is it encroaching on your friendship, or is it all 3 of you are best pals now? How's that work?
Yeah, I mean, it's everyone's welcome. Everyone's welcome in my heart. Julian's a great guy as well. But I'm not too worried that Julian will replace me in Russell's heart.
Well, and speaking of Russell, who just signed a new contract with DC United, we do have a question from Twitter, wondering if of all of the things going on with you this season, is a new contract something that's on your radar?
You can plead the fifth.
You can also not answer. I'm just reading from Twitter.
Yeah, I would. Obviously we were in negotiations. Obviously in the beginning of preseason, and we've had just some talks. But as of right now, I think for the club's sake and for my own sake, and what really matters is and I think as long as I focus on that and with the support of the club and the players and the fans, everything else will come into play. But I love being here. I love playing at Audi in front of everyone. I think the fans are amazing. Since the first day I got here at RFK, when we were in last place almost the entire time that I was there. It was it's a special club with a lot of history, and a club I'm proud to be a part of.
Yeah, well, and Paul, we certainly hope everything works out off the field for you to come back and spend plenty of time here in the black and red, especially once the knee gets healed. It was certainly a dream of mine to have you on the show, and we hope to have you on talking about a game-winning goal. But there's still plenty of time left for that, down the road.
Definitely can't wait for that.
So, well, thank you so much for joining us, Paul, and for all the questions coming in on Twitter. We're going to throw it to break, and we'll be back to break down the rest of the game and to talk more about what's up next for DC United. So stay here on Tried and True, the DC United Postgame Podcast presented by Heineken. DC United Postgame Podcast presented by Heineken. We'll be back in less than 2 minutes.
Can't listen to us live on YouTube? Find Tried and True, the DC United Postgame Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, YouTube, or Pocket Cast the morning after the match.
Tried and True, the DC United postgame podcast presented by Heineken, will be back in less than 90 seconds.
Hey, thanks for listening live. If you want to join the conversation, let us know what you think in real time using the chat on YouTube Live, on Twitter using the hashtag TriedandTrueDCU, or text us at 202-892-6328.
Tried and True, the DC United postgame podcast presented by Heineken, will be back in less than 60 seconds.
Let us know what you think between games on Twitter at hashtag TriedandTrueDCU or email us at triedandtruedcu@gmail.com.
Tried and True, the DC United postgame podcast presented by Heineken, will be back in less than 30 seconds.
Hey, thanks for listening. If you like what you hear, go ahead and give us a follow on social media. You can find us on Instagram or Twitter at TriedandTrueDCU. Again, that's Instagram or Twitter at TriedandTrueDCU.
This is Tried and True, the DC United postgame podcast presented by Heineken. Still coming at you live from the Heineken MVP Club here at Audi Field. The crowd's thinning out a bit, but we've got a lot to talk about because we had 3 goals tonight. Actually 4 if you count the one that was called back on VAR. And as I mentioned earlier, it started real early. As a matter of fact, the 3 of us didn't even make it to our seats yet. We were watching closer to field level, and it came apart real early. It's a goal. They could have had 2. They could have had 2 in the first 2 minutes. But Pizarro puts it in the back of the net in the second minute. Guys, what happened?
Yeah, so I think we saw last week that LAFC liked to play it down the wings and then push it in the middle, and that's exactly what happened in the second minute of the game. They played it down the wings, and they crossed it in, and who does it find? Pizarro, their DP signing from Monterrey, who, I mean, I don't think had the best performance in week 1, but he's a Mexico national team starter most of the time. He's going to get on the ball and he's going to finish it, and that's what he did in the second minute. And he put DC United down 1-0. And I'll come out. I felt bad about this game immediately when that happened. 2 minutes in and we concede to Miami. That's not a good look.
Yeah, anytime you give a player with the quality of Pizarro open space, front of the net, he's going to find a way to put it in the back of the net. And frankly, we were lucky not to be down 2 goals, that quick 5 minutes in. But fortunately, the game settled down a bit, and while Miami seemed to control the possession, weren't able to capitalize the rest of that half.
Well, the chances certainly settled down a bit in the first half, but it was much more physical than anything we saw in week 1, I think, for either team. I mean, the game against Colorado was not super physical here at Audi Field, and there were whistles left and right, and it was exciting to watch in the first half. I mean, we were certainly all frustrated to be down, but the intensity certainly picked up.
Absolutely, and you talk about a physical game and referee getting involved. That's kind of what changed the game come second half. 54th minute, you got a red card given to Roman Torres for what apparently was a denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity, handball. Had the opportunity to pull back a goal at the other end, and us here in the stadium are just trying to figure out what on earth happened.
Right? Yeah, it's so confusing because 2 years ago without VAR, we don't have that. A goal. We saw the scoreboard at Audi Field tick to 1-2 for Miami, and then afterwards it goes to video review, and then like I said, we're standing in the stands saying, "What's happening?" Well,
and I'll tell you, I mean, we saw a good DC United attack building, and I remember being very, very openly frustrated with Julian Gressel for kind of stopping what felt like the run of play, throwing his hands up, complaining about a handball. I think I lost part of my voice yelling at Gressel for keep playing.
But he was right?
He was correct that there was a handball, but it's always frustrating to see a player stop.
No. At the end of the day, he was right, and so it goes to VAR, and what happens?
It comes back, and it's a great opening goal. Not long after that, it's a penalty given against DC United, given for DC United rather, and Yamil Assad steps up because what we didn't talk about in the first half was the injury to Ola Kamara
Early.
and Joseph Mora.
Early injury for Ola Kamara. And then, throughout the week, I said that I would love to see Eric Sorga on the game. I did not want to see him in place of Ola Kamara in the first half. But I think he comes on and he does a good job at doing the things that a number 9 is supposed to do. He holds up the ball well. Maybe he lacked that last little bit that gets you to a Joseph Martinez or Kai Kamara level. But he filled the role as he should and provided DC United with a hold-up play that it needed.
Absolutely. He came in and filled a spot that we haven't really seen in a while. And if there's been a complaint about this team, it's been a difficulty to finish and finish those chances. We saw 2 finishes today, both coming off set pieces, but got to tip the hat to the guys for getting out there and really making it happen.
Yeah, well, and while we're still on the first half, like talking injury subs, so Sorga came off for Kamara in the 50th minute, and then in the 48th minute of the first half, O'Neal Fisher comes on for Joe Mora. Fisher used to play right back for DC United before he had a terrible, terrible injury to his, I think, ACL and MCL. He comes on and plays on the other side of the back line than he's used to, and I think he showed well.
I thought he looked fantastic tonight. It was so exciting to see O'Neal Fisher back. He was such a key player in 2018 down the stretch when DC United were stringing wins together left and right to get back into the playoffs. And I remember watching him go down, and it was devastating, and he couldn't make it back onto the field last season. And it's so exciting to see a guy like that come in. And it's just a shame, the circumstances that surrounded it made it a little bit less exciting, I think, for a lot of the folks in the stadium. But I thought he played great tonight.
Right, and so
yeah, and I'll be the first to say that I was not expecting to see both wingbacks subbed out in this game, but another return for Chris Duiachum, showed up well, and that's another great comeback story there. So great to see the guys from DC getting healthy, getting back out there, and really contributing.
Right, so after the weird red card that came back from a goal for Miami and canceled that off the board, Yamil Saad buries a penalty against the former Red Bull Robles, who
it was so sweet to see Robles go the wrong way.
That was so satisfying. And so Assad buries that into the opposite corner that he went to, and then Brillant gets his head on a goal. Yeah,
and full credit to Edison Flores for getting in space to create an opportunity to earn that penalty. I don't think there was any disagreement that definitely a penalty, and Yamil went directly for the ball, grabbed it, and buried it in the back of the net.
Yeah, and before we break down the final goal, which, as Joshua alluded to, was Frederick Brillant, and that's DC United with 3 goals on the season, 2 from the back line, which we'll talk about here in just a second. But we still want to hear from you, the fans. We've got a few tweets that we're going to get to here in just a second. But if you're listening to us live on YouTube Live, please tweet at the show using the hashtag TriedandTrueDCU. That's hashtag TriedandTrueDCU. And so that's a goal in the 61st minute that Frederic Brillant heads home after a bit of a scramble in the box. And talking to some folks in the stands, we thought maybe at first it was a cross, and he just crushed it into the back of the net. It was glorious to see, and this stadium was as loud as I've heard it in a long, long time.
Oh yeah, that capped off that furious 5 minutes. Red card, goal called back, goals going the other way, and then to have Brillant finish not at all like a defender. That's the quality you look for from contributions across the board.
Yeah, I'm looking at another text that we got from our text line from a fan. It's talking about Hamid's strong performance today, only allowing 1 goal during a match where he faced a lot of shots. I thought he had some solid saves. Some were kicked directly at him, and I'll give him that. But he had some really strong showings throughout the match.
No, he did, and thanks for mentioning the text line, Joshua. I forgot about that earlier. If you don't have Twitter and you'd like to join the show, you can always text us at 202-892-6328. That's 202-892-6328. And closing out the second half, it felt for a little while that DC United perhaps weren't up a man. For a while, Miami had a lot of possession. They were building. They were creating chances. There were some good saves by Hamid. But ultimately, down the stretch, we did what we needed to do and closed it out.
Yeah, you have to give credit to Miami for going after the game, being down a goal, down a player. It's a tough situation playing away from home, but they definitely kept on the front foot, trying to push forward. Fortunately, DC United had the ball bounce their way a couple of times, a couple of big saves by Bill Hamid, and really made it happen.
Right, and so what I'm walking away from this game is 3 points is 3 points, and we should have probably gotten 6 through the first 2. unfortunately, to lose to Colorado. I don't want to bring it up because that was just a frustrating game. But we got 3 points today, and that's all that matters. I think as the season moves forward, this team will get better and better and form better patterns of play and chemistry and all that things that matter that leads to the goal in the back of the net. But I'm extremely happy with 3 points today. What else can you ask for, right?
Yeah, and I think we're definitely in a fortunate position to get Inter Miami playing in their second game in their history of their club. We'll see what happens come August when we face them again. But sometimes that's the quirks of the schedule. You play you're up against, and while it is an expansion team, it's clearly a team with a lot of ambition. So great to get 3 points today.
Well, and it's a great segue into one of our questions from Twitter. James Lambert asks, no goals from the run of play yet. Is anyone worried?
I'll be honest, I am. I feel like Ben is really good at coaching his role within a team. So Ben played at the number 8 spot for DC United. I'm saying this wearing his jersey, that he played a gritty position where you were getting the ball back and forth. And I feel like that's how he coaches almost every position. And it doesn't lead to goals in the net. It leads to hardworking players who do the right things in the right positions, but not necessarily this beautiful form of attack like you have Alexander Arnaud overlapping on the wing and crossing things over. We don't have that at DC. We have, gritty players that'll push forward and then create opportunities through that. And not that, man, I don't want to say that one is not better than the other, but it's currently working for Ben. I mean, he's made the playoffs how many times out of the last few years? A solid amount. But, yeah, it's concerning that we don't have a goal from open play yet.
Yeah, and, as fans, you come out here and you want to see a entertaining style of play, but it's hard to argue with the results. And at the end of the day, unfortunately, Ben Olsen's not able to suit up and get out there on the field. You got to have creation from the folks who are out there making it happen. Obviously, you dealing with some injury concerns, still working some new pieces into the lineup, but I think we're all hoping that we settle in and start seeing some of those goals, some of those exciting moments that you come out here to see.
Yeah, I think it's coming. The team's getting used to playing together. Ola Kamara going down today really hurt, and it was exciting to see the team pull out 3 points after, again, a couple key players go down and are subbed off in the first half. But I think it's coming. I think this team has the excitement. For the first time, I really saw Orejas. He had the exciting plays. He had a couple touches that I squealed a little bit. I won't lie. The exciting woo, and it's coming. It's coming together for this team, and there's a lot of games left, and they've got 3 points.
That's my take from this game is that while not fully complete, while on a short preseason, that we got the job done today, and hopefully. Like I just bashed him for a style of play and for those beautiful goals that we haven't seen yet. But hopefully this is just the Band-Aid until that actually happens, until Flores is in the middle creating and Gressel's on the wing where I think he naturally belongs. He started in the middle today, but, I mean, every time this guy's on the field, he's just whipping in crosses and into great spaces and into great opportunities. I hope as we go into the season, we grow into that complete team that has a style of play, that has the beautiful build-up, and scores goals from the run of play.
Yeah, he had a couple Gressel had a couple great long balls today, and like I said, I think it's coming. Another question from Twitter, Stephen Hain asks, do you think that's the last time we'll get to attack the north end in the second half until we have another expansion team coming down?
Let's talk about it. You're lucky that Sam Kastner is not on the mic today because she will fight this to her death. Like, she loves to talk about this. The team should be attacking towards the supporter section at the end of the game every time because we have that energy. I mean, I'm part of the group, so I don't want to talk like too much, hype myself up too much, but the chants were ringing from that side. DC United.
It's hard to believe that the crowd would have been as hype if we don't go up 2 goals score a second goal in the manner that we did tonight towards the south end. And that's nothing against the south end, but doing that all in front of the supporters, the players, all of them were just amped. They were getting the crowd into it even more. It's exciting.
Right, and you heard Paul talk about how we're a factor in the game, and which I mean, it feels good for me personally, like that I contribute, but I could never contribute as much as Paul, but it feels good that that's a part of the game aspect is that supporters being in, and so maybe we should always attack towards or in the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. In the second half of games is when you pull it out. You saw DC United completely change the story with just that real 5 minutes there between the 54th and 60th minute or so. We've got some history winning big games coming this direction. I think back to the Orlando game.
How could you forget?
Absolutely. Wayne Rooney pulling off a little bit of magic there.
Who scored the goal though?
Luciano Acosta with that hat trick there. Good things happen when you come to the supporters in the second half, and we saw that today.
Yeah, and so with that, guys, it's time for us to award our man of the match. And I actually did not see who – actually, I did see who the team gave it to. The team gave it to Frederic Briand with his game-winning goal. But, Joshua, I'll start with you. Do you agree, or are you going to give it to someone else?
Man, I think I have to agree off of default here. It was a very gritty performance. Like we said throughout this podcast or this show, that DC United was only winning for maybe 4, 5, maybe 10 minutes of this game. And in those 10 minutes, Briand showed up. He stopped he stopped the attack, and then he got the goal to win the game and get DC United 3 points. The first 3 points of the season, those are huge. So yeah, I agree with the team here, and I'm going to give mine to Frederic Briand.
Mr. Black.
Yeah, I don't think there's any disagreement there about the contribution that Frederic Briand had in this game, and obviously having that goal to get us back in it is a huge factor. And I'm going to sound like I'm taking the easy way out here, but frankly, without Bill Hamid standing up and being a huge force in the goal there, keeping us in the game that first half, because again, we could easily have been down 2 goals first 5 minutes. If Hamid is not there making the saves, keeping it close, he's probably worth a goal a game, and you saw that with the result tonight. You got 3 points, 1 goal win. So Bill Hamid, my man of the match.
Yeah, and Sam Kastner somehow came up with leave this week. It's our second, third, if you will, show, and she's already on leave. So she's not here to not choose a man of the match. But for me, I said it earlier, the man of the match, it's got to go to O'Neal Fisher. It's so exciting to see him come back in. He put in a great shift.
Right? What a story.
Yeah, and we don't know yet how serious the injury is to Joseph Moore, but we may be seeing more of him than we expected. And it's great to see him out there. I thought he put in a really good shift, and to me, he's the man of the match.
3 defenders.
Yeah. Kind of tells the story of the game right there. 3 defenders voted man of the match.
Yeah, and like I said, to start the show, 3 goals in the season for DC United, 2 of them coming from defenders. So looking ahead, DC United obviously opening up with 2 straight home games. They've now got 3 of their next 4 on the road, away to FC Cincinnati next Saturday. That's a local broadcast, 5:30 p.m. on WJLA or streaming online at DCUnited.com. That was a tricky and brutal way to end the season last year.
We don't talk about that, John. I never want to talk about that 9-man to 11 0-0 draw at Audi Field. This is a new season. We're going to leave that into the past. We're going to score goals against Cincinnati, who still aren't that good.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I don't think anyone wants to have a redo of what happened at the end of last year, unless it's to throw the entire thing out and start from scratch. So let's hope we pull it out when we go into Ohio next week.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting because after this game, Coach Ben Olsen confirming that both Joseph Moore and Ola Kamara left the game with hamstring injuries. So it's really hard to put a timetable on that, if that's something that's just a strain and then we can work it out, or if it's something that's going to linger for a while. It's probably a good thing that it's Cincinnati next week. They are one of the weaker teams, but I don't think it's going to be an easy win. It's never easy to win on the road in this league, and DC United have their work cut out for them. And it doesn't get any easier after that. It's an FS1 game on Sunday the 22nd at the Philadelphia Union. That's a game that we're super excited. We're going to have a lot of DC United fans away, the team giving away a free season.
We'll be there, yeah?
Yeah, it's a free ticket to all season ticket members until they sold out, which it sounds like they already did. So going to be a big away end in that game. But, boy, that's a team we just haven't beat in, it feels like, forever, other than the Open Cup and preseason. So we'll see what comes of these injuries and if DC United can get back to good.
Yeah, Paul Arriola alluded to it earlier. You've got to have a next man up mentality and really going to have to gut it out, especially with these next couple of games on the road. It's going to set the tone for how the year goes. You've got to get points where you can and really try to pull it out.
And taking a look around the grounds today, the MLS scoreboard, so far, DC United the only team to collect all 3 points. The early games today, the New England Revolution and Chicago Fire tying 1-1, as did Real Salt Lake and the New York Red Bulls, so that's exciting for DC United.
Yeah.
Red Bulls dropping a couple points away.
Climbing to the table, baby.
At Rio T. FC Dallas and l'Impact du Montreal tied 2-2 as well. So more points in the East being dropped. DC United, of course, the only win today, 2-1 over Inter Miami at home. And live right now in the 81st minute, Toronto FC is leading NYCFC 1-0. So later tonight, there are a few games on the schedule. We don't need to go through all of them, but obviously Atlanta United tonight taking on FC Cincinnati, and we know Sam Kastner's there.
Yeah, I talked her into going and experience that game. She should have a fun time. It should be 70,000 people there for an opener. You know, it's not quite the DC feel. You know, they don't have the tried and true there, but it should be a fun match for her.
Yeah, you know, in Atlanta dealing with a major ACL injury of their own, we'll see how they adjust in losing their former MVP, Joseph Martinez. You know, we'll be very interested to see that not only for the impact next week with Cincinnati come and play DC and at home there in Ohio, but also this weekend.
Other games tonight. Minnesota at San Jose. That's an 8 p.m. Eastern kickoff. Houston at Sporting Kansas City at 8:30. Orlando City at Colorado at 9. I think it'll be interesting to see, is Colorado the real deal? Did they get away with one last week? They're playing Orlando this week, so it'll be an interesting barometer.
Orlando.
They definitely pulled off and got lucky last week. You know, DC put themselves in a position to lose the game. You got to shut it out earlier. But I think we'll learn a lot more about them as the season goes on.
I think I want to end on that DC United beat an Eastern Conference team and got all 3 points from them. And that's what matters the most in this league. You beat your conference mates, and then you're in that first spot for the playoffs, or you're in a better spot for the playoffs.
Undefeated in the East. The two nightcaps tonight, Columbus at Seattle. That's at 10 p.m., which is past my bedtime, as is Vancouver and the Galaxy. So a couple good games if I can stay awake late tonight. And tomorrow, the national TV games. Nashville, their first road trip to Portland after the devastation in Nashville. Portland doing a great job with a bit of a fundraiser this week. Some discounted tickets with proceeds going to Nashville.
Yeah, a feel-good gesture by Portland, and you love to see it in this league. I mean, MLS culture was trending this week on Twitter, and we were talking about how quirky this league was, but you got to love it. It's a big community that we have, right?
Yeah, it sure is. And the final game tomorrow is Philadelphia at LAFC, and LAFC, I don't know. Miami looked pretty good tonight. We did better, which is great. But it'll be interesting to see how LA looks against a team that's expected to compete in the East.
Yeah, you know, it's really tough to get a real feel for any of these teams coming in. You just coming off training camp, you've playing real minutes for the first time in a while. You know, LAFC took care of business last weekend. You know, we'll see them hosting, we think is a fairly good Philly team tomorrow night, MLS After Dark there, but we'll really won't have a feel for it for another couple of weeks.
Yeah, and the only other game to talk about is an exciting one close to home. Loudoun United kicking off their season away to Philly Union 2, the newly renamed Philadelphia Union 2. And that's a game that kicks off here at just a couple minutes from now at the top of the hour. And both Nyman and Paredes getting the start for Loudoun.
Yeah, I hope they tear it up. It's only good for DC United if those two guys get more minutes and get more exposure to the professional game. You know, they're literally in their teens. I'd love to see them here at Audi Field, and that's where I'll leave it.
Yeah, and, you know, Loudoun can be such a resource, and it's something that we've looked for a long time, having an opportunity to grow some of our talent and really see the future DC United players out there playing in Loudoun and Segra Field. So we're really excited to see what they come out with and hopefully get some of those guys developing into players that can start for the ones.
Well, we're leaving here all smiles tonight. Super exciting for DC United to finally be in the win column this year. That's 3 points at home against an Eastern Conference team. We're going to call it a show. If you haven't yet, please follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Tried and True DCU. You can listen to us live on YouTube. That's Tried and True, the DC United Postgame podcast. We're live after every single match. Next week's show will be live. Our first away game, it'll be live here somewhere in the district after the match, against FC Cincinnati. If you've want to join the show, got questions for us, use the hashtag TriedandTrueDCU throughout the week. Shoot us an email at triedandtruedcu@gmail.com. And, of course, if you'd like to advertise on the show or you know anybody that's interested in advertising on the show, we'd love to have you on. So shoot us an email, triedandtruedcu@gmail.com. Until next week, friends, DC United, the winners tonight, 2-1 at home over Inter Miami, and we will talk to you real soon. Until then, Vamos United.